In this video, I will teach you a simple framework to ask better questions in English meetings. Not just any questions, the kind of question that will make people notice you, respect your input, and want to help you. Most importantly, I will show you how to avoid the most common mistakes that make you look and sound unprofessional. Hello everyone, my name is Carrie. I spent 13 years as a conference interpreter working with leaders like Warren Buffett and Ray Dalio, and for organizations like the UN and Goldman Sachs. Now I coach busy professionals like you to improve their English communication skills and build more confidence at work. After sitting through thousands of meetings and coaching many professionals, I've noticed something interesting. Many smart, capable Chinese professionals either stay completely silent in meetings and don't ask any questions, or when they do ask questions, they ramble on without making their point clear. I completely understand why. You might worry about your English. You are not so sure about how to structure your question properly. So today I'm going to solve this problem for you with a simple 4-part framework that will make your question clear, professional, and very impactful. So this is the framework of asking a question that I teach in my coaching program. It has 4 parts. The first part, build connection. Second part, state topic. Third part, add background. Fourth part, ask question. Let me break this down with a real example. Imagine you are in a meeting and you want to ask questions about the new project's timeline. Here is how you are going to use the framework. First, build connection. In this part, you are using 1 to 2 sentences to connect with the other person. It's kind of like doing a small talk before you ask the question. You can say something like, "Thank you for walking us through the timeline. Your presentation was very clear and very helpful." It's very important because it sets up a positive tone and make you connect with the other person you are talking to. The second part, state the topic. Use 1 sentence to tell people what the topic of your question is. The reason to do this is to help the other person who needs to answer your question predict what's coming. A lot of people would ramble on for a very long time without telling the other person what the question is about. So if you want to sound professional and also do the other person a favor, you should tell people what the question is about very clearly. For example, you can say, "My question is about resource allocation, specifically for our international teams." So in this way, you are giving the other person a heads up. They know what's coming. They know the question will be about resource allocation, so they can prepare the question in their head. The third part is to add background. Now you can add some background using 1 to 3 sentences. Sometimes people do need a little bit of context. They need to know why you asked the question. But here, you have to be very careful. You can only use 1 to 3 sentences. You have to be very succinct. You can say something like, "You mentioned each team should have dedicated resources, but our overseas team often face delays due to shared resources. They sometimes have to pause mid-project because of competing priorities." Okay, so in this way, you give them the background information. Finally, ask the question. That's the 4th part. Present your question using 1 to 2 sentences. The question needs to be clear, specific, and solution-focused. You can say something like, "Do you have any suggestions for better managing these resource challenges? Would reallocating certain roles be an option?" If you ask your question this way, you will sound very professional because your question is very clear, well structured, and easy to follow. You also make it easy for the other person to answer your question, which shows that you are experienced and thoughtful. And now I want to share 2 common mistakes that you have to avoid. The first one is to ask vague and broad questions. Your question needs to be specific. A lot of questions are super broad to the point that the other person cannot answer the question at all. So before you ask the question, you should check it yourself. You should ask yourself, well, if I were asked this question, would I be able to answer it? The second mistake you have to avoid is asking too many questions at the same time. A lot of people have the tendency to ask multiple questions at the same time. You have to understand that asking multiple questions at the same time is too much for the other person. Their brain cannot handle it. And the result is that you will not get your questions answered because the other person won't be able to remember all of your 3, 4, 5 questions. And you look unprofessional and not thoughtful. So what do you do if you really have multiple questions? what you can do is to tell the other person you have 3, 4, 5 questions, and then you ask one question at a time. You can tell the other person, hey, I have 2 questions about the timeline. The first question is blah, 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 blah. Let the other person answer your first question. And once that's wrapped up, you can move on to the second question. So remember, do not ask multiple questions at the same time. Ask one question at a time. Asking question is a super important skill because most people can see how experienced you are, how professional you are, how thoughtful you are, what kind of things you actually think in your head when you ask a question. It is a very revealing activity in meetings. So asking a good question is definitely a skill you need to practice. Use the structure that I teach you in this video. Practice it in your next meeting. Let me know how it goes. If you want to learn more about how to communicate effectively in English meetings, check out this video here. I'll see you guys in the next video.